The Bridge of Whispered Promises. On the edge of a small European town stood an old stone bridge, arching gracefully over a quiet river. The bridge was not famous, not painted in postcards or written in guidebooks, but to the people of the town, it was a place of stories and secrets. Some said that if two souls confessed their love upon it at dusk, the river below would carry their promises into eternity. Clara had grown up listening to that legend. She was a painter who found inspiration in the delicate play of light across the bridge at sunset. Every evening, she carried her sketchbook there, sitting on the worn stone rail, watching the water ripple gold and crimson beneath the fading sun. One evening, while Clara sketched, she heard footsteps approach. A young man stopped beside her, holding a worn notebook. His dark hair was tousled, and his eyes carried the tired glow of someone who hadn't slept well in days. "Do you mind if I sit?" he asked gently. Clara smiled. "Not at all." He introduced himself as Adrian, a writer who had recently returned to the town after years away. His voice was calm, but there was something wistful in the way he gazed at the water. For a while, they sat in silence, Clara sketching, Adrian scribbling in his notebook. Over the next weeks, their meetings became a quiet ritual. Neither had arranged them, yet they always seemed to arrive at the bridge as the sun began to set. Adrian would sometimes read aloud fragments of his writing, pieces about loss, longing, and the fragile hope of new beginnings. Clara would show him her sketches, soft strokes of color that captured emotions words could not. One evening, when the air smelled of rain and the river moved restlessly, Adrian confessed, "This bridge means more to me than I can explain. Years ago, I stood here with someone I loved. We promised each other forever. But life didn't keep that promise." Clara placed her hand on the stone railing, close to his. "And yet, you came back." "Yes," he whispered. "Because part of me still believes in forever." The storm broke then, and they both ran for shelter under the arch of the bridge. In the soft patter of rain, laughter spilled between them. It was the first time Adrian's sadness seemed to lift, even if only for a moment. Days turned into months. The bridge no longer held only the memory of his past, it now carried the sound of Clara's laughter, the warmth of shared silences, and the gentle rhythm of a new story being written. One winter evening, snowflakes drifting in the lamplight, Adrian finally turned to her. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Clara, I don't know if the legend is true. But if it is, if this river really carries promises into eternity, then I want mine to be with you." Clara's eyes shone, her breath misting in the cold. She reached for his hand, her fingers weaving into his. "Then let's promise together," she said softly. Beneath the hush of falling snow, their whispered vows merged with the timeless song of the river. The bridge, once a place of Adrian's sorrow, had become their sanctuary, a witness to a love not born from perfection, but from healing, trust, and the courage to begin again. And though years would pass, and seasons would change, the town would remember them as the couple who stood on the bridge at dusk, whispering promises the river would never forget. Whispers of the Sea. The small seaside town of Marlow Bay had always been quiet, a place where time moved slowly and the salty wind carried the scent of both the ocean and forgotten dreams. For Emma Carter, the bay was both a cage and a comfort. She had lived there all her life, helping her father with the family's bookstore by the harbor. Emma's days were simple, mornings filled with the rustle of pages, afternoons of watching tourists pass by, and evenings spent staring at the horizon, wondering if there was more to life than the waves that endlessly rolled in and out. One stormy evening in late autumn, the sea brought someone unexpected to Marlow Bay. Daniel Hayes, a marine biologist from the city, arrived to study the migration of whales that passed near the coastline. Unlike the townsfolk, who were used to the sea's moods, Daniel looked at it with childlike wonder. His days were spent out on a small research boat, scribbling notes and setting up equipment, his dark hair often damp with saltwater spray. Their first meeting was almost comical. Emma had gone to the docks with a box of books for a fisherman's wife, and Daniel, hands full of tangled ropes and papers, nearly tripped over her. Books flew everywhere, and Emma, annoyed at first, bent down to collect them. When their eyes met, something shifted. His were a deep shade of green, filled with curiosity, and hers were the warm brown of aged paper. "Sorry," he laughed nervously, brushing seawater from her books. "I'm not usually this clumsy." Emma didn't reply right away. Instead, she noticed the way he looked at the ocean behind her, as though it held secrets only he could hear. Over the weeks, they crossed paths again and again, at the cafe where Emma read by the window, at the cliffs where Daniel observed whales, and of course, at the bookstore. He became a regular visitor, claiming he needed novels to read on long nights, though he rarely bought more than one at a time. Slowly, conversations bloomed. Emma found herself telling him stories of Marlow Bay, of her childhood chasing gulls and the old legend of the lighthouse keeper's lost love. In return, Daniel spoke of the city, of his endless research, and of how the ocean made him feel small but alive. One evening, he invited her out on his boat. The sea was calm, painted in hues of lavender and gold as the sun sank. As the boat drifted, a pod of whales surfaced in the distance, their songs echoing through the water. Emma's breath caught. She had lived by the sea her whole life, but she had never seen it like this, alive, singing, endless. Daniel looked at her, not the whales, as though her wonder was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "Do you ever feel," he asked softly, "like the world is too big, and yet someone makes it feel smaller, more complete?" Emma turned to him, the fading light brushing against his face. She didn't answer with words. Instead, she let the silence stretch between them, filled only by the ocean's whispers. From that night, something unspoken grew. They met more often, their conversations deeper, their silences more comfortable. Emma began to feel that maybe the world outside Marlow Bay wasn't so unreachable after all. But winter crept in, and with it, the end of Daniel's research project. The day of his departure loomed like a storm cloud neither of them wanted to face. On his last evening, they stood together at the lighthouse, watching waves crash against the rocks. "I don't want to leave," Daniel admitted, his voice breaking. "But my work, it's who I am." Emma swallowed hard. She wanted to beg him to stay, but she knew she couldn't cage him here, not when the ocean itself was calling him. Instead, she whispered, "Then promise me something." He looked at her. "Anything. That no matter where you go, you'll remember Marlow Bay, and me." Daniel reached for her hand, holding it tightly, as though afraid to let go. "Emma, I could never forget." Their kiss tasted of salt and sorrow, a memory carved into the heart of the sea. And then, he was gone. Months passed. Spring returned, painting Marlow Bay in wildflowers and warmth. Emma tried to return to her routines, but the bookstore felt emptier, the horizon lonelier. Yet she held on to that night at the lighthouse, replaying his words whenever doubt crept in. Then one quiet morning, the bell above the bookstore door chimed. Emma looked up from the counter and froze. Daniel stood there, wind-tossed and smiling, a suitcase at his feet. "I realized something," he said, stepping closer. "The ocean will always be there. But you're the only harbor I want to come home to." Tears blurred her vision as she rushed into his arms. The waves outside crashed in celebration, carrying their laughter across the bay. At last, Emma understood, love wasn't about cages or chains. It was about finding someone whose presence made the vast, endless sea feel like home.